interviewing. You know, that's what they doing. Stick around. It's about to get all Ruby up in here. Remote Ruby starts now.
I'm back.
He's back.
It has been, it's probably been more than 4 weeks. We've been, as of Friday, our son is 4 weeks old, a month old. So
wow,
it feels like it's been a long time. But also, like, I remember sitting in the hospital, lots of waiting around and reading all this drama that decided to happen while I was gone. So things have been fun, huh?
I saw something on Twitter where someone said that you being out with a baby was just a convenient way for you to skip out on all this.
That was either Nate or Jesse Hanley, one of the two, the other day. I haven't weighed in on any of that really publicly at all, but man, there's not enough information anyways. A lot of the stuff that came out was like people sort of piecing things together, and then like the timelines that Ruby Central points out about certain things is like maybe not the complete story and whatever. And so I'm like, I don't know. I just want things to go back to normal. I would love to just like not have drama,
That's how I feel about the state of politics right now. I feel like it's very reflective of what's going on.
It is. I haven't kept up with much of anything, not even sleep, but what's been new with you?
Just been arguing with people online some, which has been fun. Sometimes I get bored and I like to start arguments. So
yeah,
been doing that my whole life. So I get to do it on the internet. It's a lot of fun. This morning,
that's what the internet's made for.
I know, right? This morning, I've been struggling with OpenSSL, working on a new project at work. My project partner...
What are you doing with OpenSSL?
Okay, so I didn't do anything to it. Well, okay, I did do something to it. But the background story for this, I run brew upgrade like once a day or at least multiple times a week.
I'm pretty much the same boat, always up to date. I'd like to catch those things as soon as I can, maybe help somebody else.
So at some point recently, OpenSSL 3.6 was installed in my machine. And yesterday, I was having a bunch of weird issues, and I was like, I'm trying to like enable this Flipper feature flag, and we use Flipper Cloud. I'm like, but it's not syncing over for some reason. It says it's disabled. Like, I don't understand why it's not syncing over. And I was like, all right. But I was running into other weird stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to stub this out for right now because I don't have time to waste on this. So this morning, I was like, okay, I need to create some different types of products in Podia to like test something. And I tried to create a digital download, and I tried to upload a file, and I got an error. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Why can't I upload this file? And I needed this freaking product to be created. So I'm like looking at this error, and I'm like, I don't understand it. It says it's an OpenSSL error. I don't remember the exact error message, but it was OpenSSL, couldn't connect something, the blah, 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 blah. I was like, this is so freaking weird. And right when I said that, one of my project partners was like, hey, I can't get the freaking feature flag to sync over, and I'm having this other weird issue. And then it turns out, and I was like, all right, so something's wrong here. Like, I've got to figure this out. So me and my other project partner, Diogo, who I have missed dearly, as I was on sabbatical and then he was on sabbatical, and now we're back, reunited, dream team. Let's go. He and I paired this morning. We were like, all right, we got to figure what's going on here. And I tried to create like a cert on my machine. Like, I tried a few things that I found online. Nothing was working, and Diogo's was working fine. So I was like, I don't understand. I was like, wait, what version are you on? And he's like, I'm on 3.5.1 or something. And I'm like, but I'm on 3.6. And I was like, okay, so we asked our other project partner, what are you on? He's like, I'm on 3.6. I was like, okay, now I'm starting to see something's starting to cook here. There's actually an open Rails issue about this. It's not open, sorry. There's a closed Rails issue, but that references this very thing that was open a few days ago. And then there's also discussion going on in Ruby OpenSSL about this as well. And turns out something's going on in 3.6. So there is some fix that people have like cobbled together to like run weird OpenSSL commands like in your Ruby options. Or you can install OpenSSL 3.5 directly from Homebrew, and then put that first in your path. And then it all works.
Interesting. Huh. I haven't been coding a ton, so I haven't seen or run into this, but it looks like OpenSSL 3.6 got released October 1st. So it's been 2 weeks or whatever. Pretty recent. Yeah. Interesting.
So the error was SSL connect, return 1, error number 0, certificate verify failed.
Dude, sometimes I forget what the OpenSSL error I was running into a long time ago, but like debugging OpenSSL issues is so hard because they're so vague in the error messages and whatnot. It's just kind of like, yep, this failed. You're like, okay, but why? How do I fix it? Nah, good luck.
Yeah. And the fix that people have cobbled together on the Ruby OpenSSL issue is like, you create a Ruby file and then you require OpenSSL, and then you run something called OpenSSL x509 store.new.tap and set default paths begin. And then you have to run OpenSSL SSL context.send remove const default cert store. You then, after that, OpenSSL SSL context.const set default cert store.
OpenSSL, a dramatic reading.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. These words don't mean anything to me. I'm going to be honest. And that's why I just downgraded 3.5. So I'll have to handle this at some point, but not right now. For now,
that seems like the right move. It's not worth you doing a workaround temporarily when hopefully the gem gets that pretty soon. Is there a PR for that?
I'm not sure.
Or just an issue?
Because there is an open issue. I will add it. You have
to send the link so I can see it, because I'm curious now. That stuff is one of those where it's like,
is a PR. Yeah,
like, you want to be on the bleeding edge, but also you don't want to be on the bleeding edge. Rails World 8.1 beta 1 came out. So I ran the upgrade and everything. And then somebody in Jumpstart was like, hey, the initializer sets this Lambda and that doesn't work. And I was like, well, that's weird because that came from Rails itself. And then I get looking into Rails and the configuration had changed in 8.1 beta 1, but then it had been reverted and it wasn't released yet. It was related to the headers or something for static files or whatever it was. But yeah, I was poking through the Rails source code and I was like, this is one of those times where I want to be testing beta 1 as soon as possible to help everybody upgrade smoothly. But you can run into those issues being too soon where it's really, you should have just waited till RC1 that came out yesterday or whatever, and probably should work off of that instead. But it doesn't give me the opportunity to run it in production or whatever. And I wouldn't have caught that configuration change had it not been running in production and somebody saw that the headers weren't there that were supposed to and all that kind of stuff. Because I think it's production.rb.tt, that template. Yeah, here it is. By root reverted, reduce cache time for non-asset files in public. And it was a PR to take it a static hash and turn it into a Lambda or something that could be a little bit dynamic as or related to the assets. Because it was cache control header is a Lambda, and then it checks to see if it starts with assets. And if it does, use public immutable, max age 1 year. Otherwise, it's public stale while revalidate and stuff, max age 1 minute. And it's a cool change, but also one that I don't know if it actually works that way. I haven't looked into that configuration because it's just what Rails ships with by default. And you're leave that alone. That's about it. We don't need to touch that typically. But we caught that. Have you played with Alexi?
No, not yet. I don't have any use for it, so I'm not.
Yeah, you guys use your own tip tap based thing, right?
Yes.
When production breaks, you want to quickly understand and fix it, not sift through logs for the next hour. That's where Honeybadger comes in. Honeybadger notifies you of errors and outages and puts performance in context to help you fix the issue faster. Learn more at honeybadger.io. That's www.honeybadger.io. For those of us who have used Trix, the Zerb Tribute library that I use forever to like add mentions and hashtags and whatever else you might want to put in there, that stuff is like built into Lexi now, which is you basically do like a rich text field and give it a block so that you can add your own custom elements in there for the selectors. And so you can have that wired up, and it's really slick. The simplicity of everything. My like PR for switching to Lexi on Jumpstart deleted like a ton of lines of code and is way simpler. Yeah, it is plus 95 lines minus 956 lines. So that's awesome. There's still like two things that I think still are being addressed. There's a PR that I'll have to link to as well on Rails, but it's refactoring the internals of action text so that there's like editor concepts. Sean Doyle and Jorge has been working on it. And basically it's like pulling out a lot of the to Trix attachment partial path type stuff where it's like Trix specific on your models. This is going to make it so it's customizable by the editor that you're using. So like in theory, you could probably use Lexi and Trix in the same application if you wanted. And plus you build your own. So maybe what we'll see too is like somebody builds a TipTap one or whatever else, and then it just integrates. But they're pretty awesome. The upgrades for Lexi are pretty great. Just the simplicity of the thing is a Lexi prompt custom element. You say trigger equals the @ symbol. You can say a remote filtering, then it will use the source attribute to go and filter remotely, of course. You have an attribute called support space in searches. So when you type Andrew Mace space Mason, then it will keep that as part of the keyword that you're searching. And then like on the back end, it's really straightforward because the mentions controller for like users, layout false, and then you just like return the users. And I forget, is there a template here? I think we use like a index.html now. Yeah. So very similar to how you might do things with Hotwire, rather than returning like JSON objects of HTML to be displayed, plus the sign global ID and all that. You actually just return HTML, like a snippet without a layout. And that has Lexi prompt items as these custom components. And that has an SGID attribute, the search as well. So it can like highlight and show like what parts of this user did you match? Because maybe you're searching by name or email or description or bio or location or something. You can like add that stuff into the search attribute. And then you have the two templates, one for the menu and one for the editor. So you can then display like the avatar in the menu along with the name, and then maybe do like a bigger avatar and the name and maybe their address or username or something in the editor version of it. So that's pretty great. The like thing that we still need is image galleries, which I think Ollie had made a PR for to get started on that. And then the other thing was like, so what's also cool is hacking in the URLs. If you drop in a YouTube video URL in directly into the editor, you don't have to click the link button and then paste it in there. Because the way that Basecamp did it was when you paste it into the link field, it would detect that with a regex and say, do you want to embed this or just link it? Now you can just paste it directly into the editor and it will auto link it. But that can also be used to trigger like embedding the thumbnail or the iframe for the YouTube video. The one thing that I'm waiting for is basically once they refactor the editor code in Rails, we'll have a generic way of saying this should be how the YouTube embed is rendered in the final output or rendered inside the Lexi editor, because like I don't want a clickable video necessarily inside of the editor because I don't want to play the video in the editor. necessarily. So in that case, you might want to render just the thumbnail image for it. But then when it finally outputs, you want to actually embed the iframe. So there's a little bit left to do on that, it looks like. But I'm impressed. There are people making PRs for Undo. What was it? Let me see. Still under Basecamp Lexi. Yeah, there was a PR for Undo, Redo, Dark Mode, Attachment Gallery, when to hide upload button from default toolbar when attachments is set to false. But yeah, there's like some good activity going on it. It's probably not as fast as people want. They want it to be 100% compatible with tricks out of the box, but I'm looking forward to it. Like, it seems like it's going to be a nice big improvement in the long run for the built-in rich text editor.
Sounds fun. You reminded me, I'm going to spend like 1 minute talking about this freaking bug, dude. I discovered and fell into this rabbit hole of like word wrapping on emails. And let me just say, it is the worst thing I have ever experienced in my life. And I basically give up.
With what kind of, what's the intention there? Like,
so like when you have like a word that's like super long, no spaces, right? Just a big word. It should break. So like use a hyphen or something and break into the next line. And there is basically no good way to do that because Premailer strips off most of the modern things you would use because clients don't work with them. So I spent hours, days on this and I found like no solution. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go see. I have some buddies who have an email app who run an email service called Beehive. I was like, I'm going to go see how they're doing it because then maybe I just copy it. Because at this point, I was like trying to break things into tables. It was getting bad. And I was like, oh, they haven't fixed it either. I was like, so this just must be like one of those types of like email problems that there's like really no good solution for it. Because I was like, at this point, I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, we're going to have to start like counting the characters in a line. And that was just going to be a nightmare.
You can't even trust that because your font is going to determine like, was the word full of W's? Then like it's way wider than the full of I's or some L's.
Exactly. I was like, I tried so many things and I'm like, I can't find a solution that works in all email clients or that Premailer won't strip out. And I don't know.
Yeah, the email design stuff is still ridiculous. How complicated layouts are still using tables when it's like, I'm not sure if the clients are able to display Flexbox and stuff. It's been a while since I've designed any emails, but it's kind of ridiculous. And you would think that some of this stuff would be trusted by now and well accessible enough too. But yeah.
I found a website while working on this called Can I Email, which is very much like Can I Use?
Oh, like Can I Use? Okay.
I'll link to it in the show notes. It was mortifying. Because I was like, so the word break
here.
The word break property, which is like what everyone uses to do this, is supported in like 30% of email clients. And I'm like, and it's partially supported in 30% of others, and it's not supported at all in the other 30%. And I'm like, cool. So cool.
It's supported, but Gmail adds WBR every 30 characters.
Yeah, which is even weird. So Gmail is like manually injecting word break elements. It's just like, dude, I just don't know what to do here.
Yeah, that is wild. I'll have to bookmark this because I'm sure I'll have to use that for some email stuff soon. So that is one of those weird things where it's like, how are we in 2025 and still have these esoteric old ways of doing things for email still? To be fair, like I prefer the emails that almost are plain text. You don't have to go paste the full URL in there. You can use some HTML to put an anchor tag in, but I don't need you to like design this with a bunch of images in it and backgrounds and whatever. Like I just want to be able to read the content and have it readable. That's it. I don't need those fancy marketing emails or whatever.
But I like pictures too. So
Bruh.
I'm the type of guy, like, if you bring me a menu and there's no pictures on it, like, we're going to have a problem.
Oh, I know. I got to go to Yelp and see, does this even look good? It might sound good on paper, or it might sound terrible on paper. And then you look at the picture of it and you're like, that looks amazing. I'm ordering that. So what you're saying is we just need to all eat at Applebee's or something.
I am not saying
TGI Fridays?
I would rather go to TGI Fridays than Applebee's. I actually ate Applebee's, I guess, a year or two ago in Arizona. And I was like, that's it. I will never, ever in my life eat Applebee's again. This is it. There's no way. Like, it's going right there up with Hooters. Like, I'm never eating here again. Hooters is there because they jebaited me with something called Hootie's Bait and Tackle.
Imagine the last time you had to deal with request timeouts or backed up job queues in your prod environment. Frustrating, right? Here's what that means. You're either not autoscaling or your autoscaler is not doing its job, because autoscaling is supposed to prevent scenarios like this. That's why we built JudoScale. JudoScale is the autoscaler that works for Heroku, Render, Fly, and AWS. With JudoScale, you'll smoothly handle traffic spikes while dramatically lowering your hosting costs. Do you want a rock-solid production environment? Visit judoscale.com/remote-ruby to learn more.
I just think of those chain restaurants when people say I want pictures in the menu. That's the first thing I think of. It's those overly designed, ridiculous menus.
The McDonald's kiosks and the Taco Bell kiosks.
Oh my gosh.
Where you can actually scroll through the pictures. That's what I want.
That's not so bad. But oh my God. So Jackson's favorite thing is a Happy Meal, of course. Any 3-year-old or whatever. Yeah. But we went into McDonald's and how do they build those things so slow? That freaking menu is so freaking slow and it doesn't do anything. It's not doing anything but displaying a very basic menu. If this was just a web page, it would be running on a Raspberry Pi just fine or something. But they've clearly got the lowest end hardware in there or something, and it's just so sluggish. I don't know. Pisses me off.
See, I figured it was a computer.
Well, it is. I can't remember if it was running Linux, because one of them was down, and you could see the Linux boot screen, the boot logs or whatever. But yeah,
I can read this. I know.
It's just insane. The code. It's insane. You're a company like that, and you don't want people to have a really good, smooth experience checking out. It's just weird to me. You're okay with it being laggy. They want your money.
Yeah, they're like, how
I'll
can
give
we
you
do
more
this
money
the
if you let me go through your freaking menu.
I don't know. Every time I roll into Taco Bell drive-through, and I eat Taco Bell a lot, they're like, hello, are you checking in with your Taco Bell rewards app?
Oh,
and it's
God,
this is not a person. Yeah, I'm like, I do not answer it. I sit there in silence.
Yeah, me too. Because that thing goes, and then if you do reply to it and you're like, no, then somebody gets on the speaker and it's like, hey, how can I help you? And you're like, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place?
Yeah. I understand why they would ask. I don't understand why a computer has to ask me. And I'm like, I just love that story of that dude who ordered 10,000 waters through the AI at Taco Bell. They're like, maybe we're not going to roll this out.
I don't get it. It's ridiculous. What I don't get, though, is why they can't keep the caramel apple empanadas back. They got to take them away so fast. They were just there. And then we thought of it the other day and it was like, no, it's gone already. But some of the other decades menu items are still there. And it's like, well, why'd you take some of them away? The ones that matter, like the caramel apple empanadas.
Were you in Amsterdam when I had my meltdown about the McDonald's and the English muffins?
That sounds familiar. Yes. I think I was there.
I wanted a biscuit, right?
Yeah.
And they don't have biscuits in Amsterdam. Merc. I wanted a biscuit. And then I had to spend the rest of the day explaining what a biscuit was to non-Americans. But the other day I went through McDonald's because I wanted a biscuit, bro. I wanted a biscuit. And guess what that person gave me, bro? They gave me a sausage English muffin. And I was like, you can literally, if I had realized, I would have thrown it at you.
Yeah. That is not an acceptable alternative.
No, I want a biscuit.
Yeah. I do like the McGriddles, but
I love the McGriddles.
Brooke hadn't had one of the chicken McGriddles, and I was eating one. She was asking for a bite, And she was like, wait a minute, this is like a chicken and waffles almost. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, like that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
But
There's so much sugar in those, though.
yeah, that's why they're so good.
I know. I love them. That's what I usually get is a sausage biscuit and a sausage McGriddle.
So good. Are you playing McDonald's Monopoly then?
No.
Have you won the Winnebago yet?
The Winnipeg? No, I haven't. That documentary about that scam
Yeah,
that
right.
guy ran has been on my list, though, for a while.
It's a pretty good documentary. I watched that last year or something. Watch Task on
Task.
Was it Paramount? It was a pretty good show. We
Okay.
just finished it last night. It's like one of those TV shows that's only one season of like 7 episodes, but like it just feels like an extra long movie that's actually really good.
That's
Recommend it.
I got a recommendation for you then. It's called The Girlfriend. It's on Prime. Super psychological twister. I still don't really understand what happened, but I thought it was super, super good.
All right. It's got good ratings.
It's got good actresses too. Like I almost throw it right up there, like next to Memento, in like terms of like things that
Ooh,
like
okay.
really like. I can guess the
Okay.
ending of every freaking show because I have ADHD and I just see patterns everywhere. This is one of the only shows where like I had no idea what was going on. I was not able to guess what was going on, and I did not predict the ending.
Yeah. Dude, Memento is so good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while.
Like The Usual Suspects was another one like that. You watch that one?
No, I haven't. I don't think so.
Highly recommend that one.
All right,
That one's real good.
good, because I'm going to need
It's-
something soon. I'm about to finish The Bear.
Oh, we just started watching The Bear too. That
Binge on
is
right
a
now.
fast paced. Every episode feels like it goes over pretty fast.
Yeah, it's
They're
good.
shorter, like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah,
but
they are shorter, but they pack a lot in them.
they're
But you're like,
quick.
crap, like so much has happened.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot.
I have too.
We've just started that. So, what is your take on all this Ruby drama? I haven't listened to the episode that you guys recorded without me.
I think my final takeaway was this is sad and a net negative for like the entire Ruby community. Like no matter how you swatch it, no matter who's at fault,
Yeah,
like this is
yeah.
a net negative for all of us, and it's
That's
fracturing
That's
the
what I
community,
told-
which is even worse. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I told Colin the other day, and was like, Colin or Jesper or somebody, I feel awful for anybody that wants to join Ruby community to walk into this dumpster fire that's happening, and like, maybe I should go somewhere else. It just feels, I don't know. It's embarrassing that we're doing or having to go through this. It feels like as a community, and like, I want it to be resolved. I don't see how it gets resolved. It's going to be fractured no matter what. It seems like what hurts me the most is to see how many people are like hoping for things to be as malicious and evil as possible.
Yeah.
Like that drives me nuts. I loved the Ruby community when I joined because it was the opposite. It was everybody was so supportive, wanting to adopt the latest new features and everything else. And that was different from the Python community and like the Linux community at the time and whatever. And now it feels like we're going down a path that I don't love.
it's not quite as serious as the Python 2.3 like fracture, but
Which feels like it still goes on.
it's
this
which
day.
is still fractured. Yeah, that's the truth. So I don't know. Like I said, it's sad. Haven't really taken a position, although I'm trending toward Ruby Central side as this has gone longer and as more and more receipts have come out, and as I've seen
Yeah.
certain people step into or away from opinions they previously had or were doing. So I don't know. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like at this point, we just need to figure out if we can fix this, how we fix this. I don't think I agree with you. I think that most of it can't ever be fixed. We lost maintainers that will never come back, and that's just a really awful thing. That sucks. Like that sucks for them. That sucks for us. That sucks for everyone. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm not really interested in like assigning blame at this point. I think there are too many people online who are just specifically focused on assigning blame on each side. Like
Yeah.
the
I noticed that a
extremism is,
lot.
yeah, it's just A lot of personal attacks going around.
Nobody's put everything in extremely clear terms. The latest post from Ruby Central was like, here's some timeline. But it was like not a complete timeline, obviously, because then Andre's post followed up with other aspects that were left out. And I'm sure his side of the story left things out as well. And it's like, well, nobody knows the entire thing, at least publicly. And it's like, so then you can't really make judgment on either side. But it feels like both sides are like just fighting and nobody's really trying to resolve it. And now if it's getting into legal territory with lawyers and lawsuits and things, then like, great. That's just already so far gone that, oh, it sucks. I hate it. I just wish that we got to work on building cool things. Ruby in general is in a tough spot because everybody is using JavaScript and whatnot these days. And Ruby's been the language that's like, oh, it's too slow for too long. The reputation is hard enough to break away from that when Ruby these days is night and day difference compared to what it was in 1.9.3 and 2.0 and 1.8.7 days. But like, we can never get past that reputation if we're not working together and helping it succeed, which doesn't seem like anybody's interested in doing right now, just yelling at each other. So that sucks. And then like the market's so freaking hard right now to get jobs in general that like, this is just going to get worse. Why are you going to want to do this? Is like, you're going to compare Ruby to COBOL at some point where it's like, oh, that old thing? No, thanks. But we're very desperate. We'll pay you hundreds of thousands to come do Ruby. I don't want that to be the future of this community.
Yeah, I agree. It's sad.
What's frustrating to me too is there's a little bit of talk of like, we're going to go do this going forward, but it's not. That's coming from a place of sort of an FU to the other side. And it's like, but what we really need is how do we pull us all back together and go forward? And there's no conversation hardly about that, which is what needs to happen the most.
It seems like most people online are, I think you kind of said this earlier, they're more interested in this dragging it farther apart than bringing, like they just see no way. Yeah, I don't know. I've argued with people about this and I see what they're saying. I just don't agree with it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. The only thing I've really taken away from it is just, it's very depressing. Like,
yeah,
I don't want this to be how the community exists. It is tough because a service like that costs a lot of money to run, like Ruby Gems, but ownership and whatnot of these open source projects is interesting because Yehuda Katz and Carl, I forget his last name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Carl Huda was their username. I haven't heard that in forever, but it's ingrained in my brain because the Carl Huda Janus repository was how I got into using Vim because it was like
nice.
A Vim configuration that kind of matched my keyboard shortcuts and stuff from Sublime. And that was what got me over the hump to use Vim. I always remembered Carl Huda, and I'd never realized that it was Yehuda Katz and Carl. And that was their username. I guess they were pair programming together under that username or something. I'm not sure, but it's funny. That was a long time ago kind of thing.
That's why for that episode that I did without you, I was like, all these things, like I haven't been in the community long enough to like know the history of a lot of these things. So it was good having Rachel and Drew on to help provide some of that nuance that I was missing.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm glad it's died down a bit. There's nothing wrong with having a couple repositories or a handful of repositories for packages or whatever, but like people still need the simplicity of like, if every single gem lives in its own freaking repository, then like that makes it so much harder for anybody to start using packages. If they like have to know that Rails lives in this one thing and Hanami lives in this other one and whatever, like that's the same kind of crap where I want to start using Ruby and what do I have to do? I have to go install Homebrew and all these packages and then download the source code for Ruby and compile it. And I can't just get a pre-compiled Ruby. It's like another step where we're going to lose every single new user or new developer in Ruby, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah. If I had a solution, I would have told everyone by now. Like,
yeah. We can start the remote Ruby gems.org.
Yeah. We'll call it remote gems.
RemoteRubyGems.org.
Remote Ruby gems.
But yeah, it's so tough. It's cool because you can spin up another gem source, and it's literally as simple as pointing to another source. And as long as they have the index files and whatever metadata files set up right, it's already ready to do that. The default of Ruby gems is such a convenience thing that's what made every other package manager want to copy Bundler and Ruby gems. And like, we set such a great example only to end up here. That sucks. So I don't know, man.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty base take. It's like, who cares who's at fault? We got to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and nobody seems to want to do that on social media. They all just want to
argue and fight
tomatoes.
And point fingers. Yeah, someone's got to be punished, but like, how?
Yeah, and there's a lot of this like, I'm better than you because of this or that part of it, and it's like, what do you get out of this? Nothing.
Yeah,
you feel better about yourself just tearing other people down. I don't get it. That doesn't help us in the long run. It doesn't even help you. You look bad if you're doing that. I don't get the point. It just seems like I think everybody probably had good intentions. Most likely, it wasn't communicated well, probably on anybody's side, and like, we screwed that up, and we should be better at communicating. I'm still frustrated because most of the time things are still so vague when like, until the most recent Ruby Central post, like those updates were so vague and so sort of useless. It's like, why do you even send it? Give us the details and explain exactly what happened. And like, don't try and spin it. Just give us the facts. Whatever happened. That's it. That's all we want to know. And like, what is going to happen going forward so that we can feel safe that this isn't going to continue on or whatever. I don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Yep. Well, on that note, got anything else?
Be excellent to each other.
That's good. Be nice to each other.
What was that from?
The Girlfriend.
No, excellent to each other. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh.
Something strange is afoot at the Circle K.
Dude, as someone who lives around a lot of Circle Ks, dude, that is an actual factual statement because there is always something weird going on at the Circle K.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. It's times like these where like we got to rally together and support each other and stuff. This is what makes a community great when times are tough and people are just combative or on the offensive lately. But we got to rally together. This is, I think, important. Ruby is a language and everything, but if we're going to like just throw it all away, it just seems like a big waste.
Yeah, I really don't want to have to go to electrician school.
I just need my Bitcoin to keep going up and then I can retire.
Yeah, there you go.
I wish that I was involved in that whatever scheme was going on where people made like whatever, $500 million, something stupid.
Yeah, no one invites me to schemes. Like, I'm pretty upset about it.
Shame, dude.
Very left out.
Yeah, that's all we need. Bitcoin at 10 million each. I'll sell a couple of them. I should be okay.
Reminds me of that dude that had a hard drive with like a lot on it. And like,
it
got thrown away. And he's like digging through a dump for it. I'm like, dude, I would never stop searching.
Yeah, I saw something not that long ago that was like 3 years later and he's still searching or whatever.
I don't know why he thinks that hard drive's going to work anymore, but
yeah. Yeah, if it was a hard drive especially, like
yeah.
The platters are probably scratched or shattered or something. Like, no way.
It's been
no way that
rained on and
survived.
soaked in goo.
Yeah. Which reminds me, my parents are cleaning out their house now. That their house is finished. They moved in some stuff. Well, finished in quotes, because what new house is actually ever really finished?
None.
But they brought the computer, the desktop computer I built in high school, I guess still was in my room. And they brought it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like this is freaking Windows XP. And I think the motherboard had a graphics card built into it so I could save money that way or something. But I plugged that thing in, plugged it into a monitor, and the power supply just started rattling like the fan in there or something. But it was so loud, never turned on. And I was like, yeah, this is probably e-waste at this point, sadly.
Yeah.
But it just like sat there for the last 20 years or whatever. Maybe not quite.
I was going to say, the life of an only
15
child.
years. I have a sister.
Let's say that sounds like some only. I was like, my room was gone the second I left the house. Like it was taken over, claimed. I no longer have.
Yeah, my parents had their basement that they used for all their stuff, and our rooms just kind of more or less stayed guest rooms or whatever. Now mom's bringing down like, here's all your old Hot Wheels. And like Jackson's now at the right age to like, oh my God, look at all these Hot Wheels.
That's sick.
That's super fun to see him. And then to see like some of those old toys, you're like, I totally forgot about this. Now all these memories flood back. Yeah.
The
good
Lincoln
times.
Logs, dude.
Oh yeah, we got some of those. I had a Lego set with a little brick of dynamite. And I apparently had like a wooden barrel, some Western Lego set. But obviously you put the dynamite in the Lego barrel. But it apparently was like the perfect size, but I could never get it back out there. And I'm pretty sure it's still in there. So I want to go look for that whenever mom brings the Legos down.
Dude, there's a lot of Legos at my house that my mom has some weird idea that like when they're gone, we're going to split them up and like take a third. But that's complete and utter BS because they're mine. And all of my brothers say that, but I had them first. They're mine. So I will be taking them. Like that might be the only thing I take.
There you go. Yeah. Those are important. They're technically vintage at this point.
True. I still remember some of the sets I have. All right.
I want to go play with Legos.
I want to go play with Legos too. I have a friend who says that kids who play with Legos is one of the best determining factors he's had for who is like going to end up being a programmer. Is like he's like almost every programmer he talks to play with Legos as a kid.
Build stuff. Yeah. Poor kids these days. They're going to go be a vibe coder.
Got to build Minecraft blocks.
Yeah. They're going to just talk to the Legos and say,
yeah. Please assemble a Millennium Falcon.
Oh no.
I found this girl on YouTube shorts, and one of the main things she does is like put together these massive Lego builds, like the Millennium Falcon and the Titanic and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like watching this time lapse over days, and I'm like, dude, your poor back.
Yeah, and those are so stupid expensive too.
Oh yeah, they're dummy expensive.
The Millennium Falcon, $850.
See, that's
Lego Star Wars Ultimate Collector Millennium Falcon, $1,500 on eBay.
I was gonna say $1,500 sounds a lot more like it.
I think the $850 was probably the price before it sells out or something, and then it's somebody scalping it on.
Yeah. Jeez.
I don't know. I can't tell. But yeah, I enjoy building them, but then afterwards, it's like, what the hell am I going to do with this Millennium Falcon?
I always
it's going to sit there.
I don't keep them built. Like I'll break them apart and use the pieces on something new.
Yeah. I like those people who like build stuff with them from scratch or whatever and like go get the pieces they need to do something really freaking unique. Pretty awesome. But that's also a rabbit hole of YouTube that you can go down to like those custom Lego builds. But you're going to need a second job to afford that.
Yeah, for real. You got to monetize that hobby somehow.
Right. With YouTube.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, God. All right, man.
Well, all right.
It's been a month. I'm glad to be back-ish. Oh, we didn't even get to talk about... I haven't made a ton of progress on it, but like I started extracting the action push web from Campfire. And I don't know if I'm going to be working on it or getting the thing shipped or not. Our buddy Nick Pezza got added to the project too. And
nice.
been talking with Rosa and a couple other people about it. It's like, the implementation of the Action Push native was totally different than the implementation of Action Push web in Campfire. And that makes sense to some extent, where like the way of getting like a device token from the iOS or Android apps is pretty straightforward, but you have to do like JavaScript and some other stuff to pull off that with vapid keys and stuff on the web. But at the end of the day, you get a push subscription token, like a URL, and you send notifications pretty much the same way as you do on mobile. And they both use like Apple's push notification service or Google FCM and stuff. But as far as it comes to Rails, that code was totally different. So I extracted what they had done in Campfire and was like, wait a minute, this probably should match native to be consistent. But they have different database models. And so one of the weird things is you kind of end up with these classes in your application that look and are very functionally similar, but actually the back end for them is totally different. But they're almost like a duplicate of each other. So we were like looking into maybe they're separate gems, because in some case I could probably imagine using both a PWA plus iOS and Android if you needed them. But chances are you're going to push people to use the native apps. But maybe you support both. I don't know. So they're kind of written with them being used independently or like exclusively in mind, but we'll see. So it's a little interesting because like there's a lot of little JavaScript stuff to get set up for registering your service worker, then asking for notification permissions, and then having your service worker receive a push message and then actually run the notification and all that stuff. That isn't necessary on iOS or Android because that's handled by the operating system. But that Action Push web should eventually be out pretty soon, I'm hoping. They're testing out this HTTPX gem. It's like a API client or HTTP client because it is also a little tricky. So like the web version has the subscription that you can send a notification to and deliver like just as an HTTP request. But if you're doing anything in like a certain level of volume, you're going to want to have a persistent connection open with HTTP2 to Apple or whatever. And then that way you can like send a bunch of messages, like 1,000 notifications or 10,000 with a persistent connection. So it's going to support that. But net HTTP persistent was the gem being used by Campfire. Then Appnotic was being used by the notification gems or native gems. And then that got replaced with HTTPX. But there seems to be some thread related issue, potentially with solid queue and HTTPX somewhere. So they're getting that figured out. So it should be soon-ish around 8.1 release when both of those are shipped. But we're like going to try and make sure that the API clients like HTTPX are used for both of them. And like ideally they're as consistent as possible between them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those go live. I did get Action Push native as a delivery method built into Notice, which is sweet. So we'll have very easily after that Action Push web as well, which would be sick.
Cool.
So,
very cool.
Yeah. It's an interesting project where it's like the code was already 100% written. To extract it wasn't that hard, but to actually make it consistent with the interface and like the ideal Railsy way of doing things is actually a totally different thing, because that worked great in Campfire, but it's not generic. It was built just for Campfire. So like the stimulus controller has like do a pulsing animation on the notification bell when we want to get your attention to click on that to ask you, do you want notifications or not? And it's like, not every app is going to have a notification bell, or they'll want to trigger it in some other way or something. So extracting it was kind of fun to like, hey, this feature now needs to be very generic and modular. And, you know, how do you go about doing that? That's a fun process to take of extracting code out into a library. So yeah, we'll see. It's getting there. I'm hoping to have that live soon-ish, but that was all I had on that. That was the
Cool.
only code I've really written in the last month.
Sounds nice. Yeah, maybe we can talk about that more when it comes out or on the next episode or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And walk through how it works because
Yeah.
it is a lot of little pieces to wrap your head around. So cool, man. Good
All
catching up. We'll talk to you probably next week. We're starting to get a little bit of sleep. I think we only have to wake up 2 times or sort of midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. So like we kind of get some sleep.
Yeah.
Kinda. Take some
sleep.
shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's just you, you're just like a walking zombie. But if you can alternate, then it helps quite a bit.
I bet.
You just have to like sleep during the day as well.
Yeah. Nap time becomes a family activity.
Yeah, right. All right, dude.
All
Catch
right.
you later.
Peace.